A new law has been passed. It passed the House, it passed the Senate, and it's been signed by President Trump. All three things that need to happen did happen. It will have a huge impact on veterans right here, right now. And this law is called the VA Home Loan Reform Act. Now, from what I understand, this allows veterans who are behind on their mortgage payments to kind of tack those on the back end. That's all I know. Lucky for us, we have David Piatek here. He's an expert. He's a veteran. He's currently serving in the National Guard for some reason, and he truly is an expert when it comes to VA home loan everything. He's a lender, and he's a lender for the veterans. So, David, tell us. Yeah, you like that one. That's a good.
That was actually. I like that.
You can go ahead and take that one, David.
I am.
That's my love letter to David
Thank
on
you.
his introduction. What in the world is going on with this new law here? Now's your moment to shine.
Well, thanks guys for having me on again. So yes, so this new program is a replacement for the VASP program, which was actually compared to this one, it was actually a much better program in my eyes, because it took the whole loan, basically put it at 2.5 or 2.25 interest rate, and then the veteran was able to just kind of get into a new payment. This program is a partial payment program. So basically, they're going to say if you're $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 behind, V is going to step in, pay that amount, put a claim on your property, almost like a second mortgage, and you continue then to make your first mortgage payment. So that rate shouldn't be really changing. What's going to happen down the line is that when you go to sell your home or you refinance, then you're going to have to pay that money back. So still a great option for veterans that face financial hardship. A lot of the original program for VASP was to take care of folks that were part of the CARES program, where the VA said, like, yes, you could defer your payments and then pay them later when you sell. That's not exactly what happened. So a lot of veterans, like almost 70,000 veterans, kind of went into this foreclosure piece. A lot of veterans kind of got put into a 40-year mortgage at like 7.5% interest rates. That's what I've been seeing online from other videos we've done. Which is unfortunate, because you take this $30,000 or $40,000 and turn it into $200,000. Who's really making the money here?
Right. Yeah. You know what, David? You bring up a great point. I think a lot of times people don't look at the amortization schedule, if you will. And so we get hyper focused on that initial payment, and we don't really break it down and go, okay, how much is going to interest? How much is going to principal? You might have some basic thoughts in the back of your mind, but for the sake of simplicity, it's kind of like an X like this, a graph. And down here is your principal at the beginning of your loan term. And as you move on through life, at the end, you're paying mostly principal. The other one is interest. You're paying mostly interest. And over time, that interest goes down. It is front-loaded very heavily interest-wise for the consumer. So yes, I agree with you. One of the things that you said, David, which is super true, of course, the VASP program was absolutely beneficial for veterans who could get it. It was actually too good to be true. I mean, it's unbelievable how good it was. It was too good, which is why they took it away. Really, I mean, at the end of the day,
they're not supposed to service mortgages.
They're not. There's two things, right? And this is what I want to get your brain around for folks, to explain it in a way that, I don't know, that maybe makes sense or not. So we have the federal government who now ended VASP and created this new program, which is great, and we'll dive into what it does for folks a little more. But the VASP program, regardless of what interest rate they had, they go into foreclosure. If they get accepted into VASP at that time, VASP no longer exists. We're in July of 2025. That is gone. But if, flashback, you were there and you qualified, you would get this 2.25% interest rate. Regardless of what you used to, you could have had a 7% rate on your home, and now all of a sudden you have a 2.25%, and they basically go, okay, let's start over. And now you just keep making the rest of your payments for the remainder of your loan, whatever that equates to. Wow, that is a huge benefit. And, arguably, I mean, I know that I already know hey, that's just what it should be for veterans, right? We should just get that. That would be great. But why does that not make sense is the question. And then the second piece to that is, I think that people don't understand that relationship between the VA and the actual home loan. You're making payments and all of that because it's a VA home loan. Right. So if you can kind of describe, one, why that doesn't really make sense for the 2.25% interest rate or 2.5% interest rate or whatever it was with VASP, and then why is there this disconnect? How come, what's that relationship between the two?
So that's a good question. And let me start off by saying that the VA doesn't do mortgages. Okay, they guarantee them. The only program they technically do, because someone could be in the comment section and be like, well, technically the VA does. It's called the NATO program, which is the Native American Direct Loan Program. That's the only one where they originate, service the loan, fund the loan, but that's literally the only program they do. Back in the day, they decided to let banks and the open markets do mortgages. Okay, and it made sense because it's like you go to your driver's license facility trying to get a mortgage. Like it'll be 2 years later before you get it. All right. So open markets are a lot more efficient. So that's how basically they came up with that program to say, look, the VA loan guaranteed by banks, or they're going to originate the loan. And then the VA is going to make sure that, yes, they're originating it to the guidelines that we have. And then we're going to insure these loans. And then guess what? By the way, we have a 25% guarantee. So if the veteran defaults, hey, bank, we're going to pay you 25% of what that loan was, making it extremely safe. And that's why typically rates are lower for those programs. And overall, it's a pretty phenomenal program. Not every lender knows how to do them. That's for sure. We've learned that over time. So the VA is not designed to service mortgages. They are designed to guarantee those mortgages. And what additional layer of complexity comes about with this is that mortgages are sold on the open market in mortgage-backed securities. And those mortgages, there's hedge funds, there's mutual funds, there's all types of school boards will invest in these different funds. So in any given mortgage tranche, there's thousands of owners, right? So it's complex when you're like, well, let's take this one loan out and the VA then needs to service it and they're going to buy it. Who's paying for it? How are they even authorized to do it? And that was a concern early on, Jason, was how was the VA able to even do the VASP program, to be honest with you?
Right.
And that's the hard part of that piece.
Right.
I know it's long-winded, but
I think that probably if you're in that far of a default status, right, that VASP is an option, the lenders are more than happy to let that go and take that off of our books because of the amount of money it costs to go through the foreclosure process and legal fees and all that stuff is ridiculous. That's why back in the 07, 08 days, the lenders were offering cash for keys. Hey, we'll give you money if you actually just leave the house because we don't want to go through the foreclosure process because it costs too much. Now, the other piece I think too is from this administration's viewpoint, we're trying to reduce staff levels. We don't need a bunch of mortgage servicers and people answering the phone. And, guess what? Now you own all these loans. These people were late before and fell into default. What's the likelihood that this is going to happen again? Now you need attorneys and you need everybody else in the mix. And it's just an added layer of, like you said, complexity that is just probably not needed at the VA. Again, it's this weird double-edged sword, right? I mean, there's the common sense piece of it that like this shouldn't really be happening. But then there's but boy, I sure wish I could get that if I wound up in a bad situation. I know we only got you for a limited time, David. I wanted to just dive back into this new program, the new law that is now in place. Here it got signed, yesterday, July 30th of 2025. And for those that don't know, just as the gentle reminder, it is the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act that was signed into law. And you outlined it very good on what happens. And I just kind of want people to understand again, here I am. And hopefully you're never in this situation. But if you happen to be, it's good to have this knowledge up here so you understand how things work for yourself, for a loved one, for a friend, or anybody. This might not specifically impact everybody that's watching this, and I hope it doesn't. but it doesn't impact one of our brothers or sisters. And that's why it's important that we hit the thumbs up, we subscribe. If you're not subscribed to all of the channels, please do so. Veterans Daily, VA Housing Education, Clay's channel, my channel, all of that stuff. That's what makes the circle go round, is this many hands make light work aspect. Sorry, that was a long lead in for this question, David. Please explain again. Okay, I'm Joe Veteran, and I lost my job, and I'm struggling trying to find a new one, and now I'm $20,000 behind on my mortgage. They're knocking on my door. Now, what does this new law look like for me? I'm going to lose my house. What's this going to do for me?
So now there's a couple things in that statement. So essentially, if you're, let's say, 20,000 behind on your mortgage payment, and it's been 6 months, you haven't made any payments, and now hey, I found a job, I can make my payments again, but now they're basically, the bank is threatening to say, look, you're going to lose your home no matter what now, and you want to keep that home. Well, this is where this program is going to come into play, because you have to have the ability to repay the mortgage. Okay, so that is a reality piece to it. Because if they modify the mortgage or they buy it, but you still can't make the payment, there's a reality that you need to face as a veteran. Do I sell that home or do I keep it? And most veterans, by the way, Clay, Jason and Clay, that are in foreclosure have over 100,000 in equity in their properties. Okay, so there are options that exist. So don't get hung up on losing your VA benefits, right? A portion of it. Focus on what makes the most sense, and do you need a reset? But they haven't given out guidance as far as like who you'll be able to contact. But I'll tell you this: if you're behind and you're like, you know what, I'm in a position now where I can make my payments, at least what I used to have, and I need someone to buy the default amount back, this is where this program comes in. Reach out to the lender, talk to them about it. If you can't get clear answers, reach out to the VA Regional Loan Center, and did a whole video on how to contact them, and a video on how to use the ServiceNow portals so you get your answers in writing, which is pretty important to get from the VA. And at least then you could start that process and go down that road. Because once you go late, it's hard to refinance. You limit your options. But what I don't want you to do is disqualify yourself from being in a better financial position.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? Thank you so much for the insights, David. We really appreciate you being on the channel. Thank you so much. Hey, for everybody out there, if you're not subscribed to David's channel, VA Housing Education, the link's in the description. And please do that, because, again, it's the awareness piece. You'd much rather know what's going on and not need this type of information than not know what's going on and then need it and miss out. So with that, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you very much. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.